kind of taken a little bit different approach. Originally, I thought I was going to go through similar features as SL, and what I've decided to do instead is we'll touch upon that, but I'm also going to kind of talk a little bit about the differences between the two products as well. Both systems are are used in a lot of nonprofits, a lot of our clients, and a lot of times people will come up to us and say, which system should I be using? One of the big things that Bill pointed out is that there is a project tracking within Dynamics SL, okay? And GP has that as well, but in order to have the same sophistication as the project tracking, a lot of people will normally use what's called an ISV or a third-party solution. And whereas you'll see the strengths in GP versus SL is that there's a lot of different ways to pull your information out of the system. And so I'm going to kind of focus on that within my presentation. So where we're starting, this is the home page of Dynamics GP 2010 R2. So I noticed a number of people in the room are currently on Dynamics GP10, and what we're showing today is the latest version of the product. And the other thing I'm going to point out over here, and Dynamics SL has the same feature, is that you log into the system with a user ID and a company name. So you can have unlimited numbers of companies within each of the systems, and the pricing of the product isn't affected. So in some systems, when you purchase, the number of companies will affect that, whereas it doesn't here with the Dynamics products. But we start with the home page. All right, this is tricky because I'm looking at two monitors. But the way it's broken down is that you'll see on the left-hand side we have these wonder bars, which look a lot like Office. And you'll see within the Dynamics products that they are trying to make them more like Office, like make the products look more like Office. And throughout the reporting and inquiry and menuing, you'll always see these groupings, okay? So financial is where you have your general ledger information, sales is receivables and billing and payments, purchasing is where AP and purchasing are, and so on. So I point this out because we're going to start going into some inquiry tools and menuing, and you'll see that the grouping is consistent through that. We also have the menus, the shortcuts in the system. So what you're able to do is that you can set up your own menuing system based on the screens that you use frequently. So you'll see in the GL, I have GL screens, things like account maintenance and transaction entry. So those are items that are specific to what I like to use when I do a demonstration, say, of the general ledger. So the system does allow you to do your own custom menuing for the screens that you use frequently. So when I go into screens, I can either go into them through here, there's a main menu at the top, and then we also have menuing along the side. So I might go into a screen a number of different ways. We also have in the middle some information as well. You've got this My Reports area, which are the reports that you go into frequently. Now, with this area, you can include reports that are GP reports, SQL Service, SSRS reports, as well as Excel reports. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. But you're going to see a migration within the Dynamics products of moving their reports to the SQL Server reporting services. And as well as there's a lot of Excel reporting. Even though we talked Excel was evil before, we'll see where it can still be beneficial. Yeah.
Can I ask two quick questions?
Yeah.
Number one, do either of the two products, SL or GP, have the capacity to store non-accounting information?
Yeah.
okay? And completely independent of dollar transactions.
Yeah, what happens is that you're gonna see a couple things. Throughout the system, Bill kind of a little bit got into the customization, but you can, there are first of all user fields that you can define what you want to do with those user fields, okay? What I've also seen is that people will, you know, add tables to the system and then enter information through the data entry screens into those tables. So between customization and there's something in GP called Extender, where you can specify that you want to track extra fields. Like for instance, in accounts payable here in vendor maintenance, if I bring up, say, a vendor, under this option screen, okay, of course I don't have this listed, you're able to add extra information. So if I wanted to track banking information, or I wanted to track a lease that I had with that vendor, or warranty information, I can do that, and I can add those fields within the system.
I'm thinking more about dynamic information that would change over time. Like for instance, I run a clinic, and I want to keep track of census numbers over time, and I want to be able to report that as part of my accounting report.
Okay, so now I see where you're going. What happens there is that both SL and GP have the capability to track, a lot of that is tracked, say, in unit accounts. So like if you had some census information, like this example, which I don't have data in, some people track square footage, some people track number of employees, some people track number of items sold, and then they want to put that on their financial report, or they want to use that in an allocation. So a lot of times that's tracked in, GP calls it a unit account, SL calls it like statistical accounts, so or a statistical ledger. But yeah, you could track. Yeah, Olga, are you tracking some type of information like that?
Number of meals we do.
Oh, okay.
Second question was, is this either product, server-based, cloud-based, either?
John's going to talk about that at the end, but we have both actually, and he'll get more into that as part of his final.
Ooh, something to look forward to.
Something to look forward to, and to keep you here. We do that on purpose. Okay, the reports area, we talked about that. Quick links, these are for screens you go into frequently. This also allows you to go into screens that are not part of Dynamics. Like let's say there's a web page you go to frequently, or there's another program that you want to access, or an Excel spreadsheet that you want to have up. You can set that up through quick links. The top two areas are kind of like my favorite areas because they're more for alerts, okay, to kind of keep you up on what's going on in your system. And what we have over to the right is a metrics area. So what happens here is that you can define, well, the system comes with about, I'd say, 40 different metrics, and you can define what metrics you want to have come up by role, okay? So the security in the system is done by role and by company, so that if you have accounting managers, they would have a set of metrics come up versus an AP clerk. And then you can further modify if you have the right additional metrics. Now, these metrics are developed with SQL reporting services. And so the plus with that is that you have the ability to drill down on this information. So if I click that I want to view this metrics, I can come in here and it shows me AR days outstanding. And I can go ahead and drill down on an item, and this shows me the accounts that are incorporating that AR number, and then I can drill down by account to see which invoice numbers are making up that particular balance. So, and if you're a GP user, you can drill down further and actually drill down into a GP screen, okay? So, so this allows you to have access to a standard set of metrics, because all the time that you know, whenever I talk to people and people do RFPs, they always want dashboards, okay? And And Microsoft, like I said, gives you these 40 items for a dashboard, but no matter what, it's never what you want 100%. And so what's nice about this being written in SQL reporting services is that you can modify these items or you can add your own. So, so that you can get the metrics that you want. Now, these metrics right now are being presented for the GP users. But let's say you're a non-GP user and you want to be able to look at these metrics. So there's something called Business Analyzer that's available with the latest version of GP, and actually it's coming with SL in its release at the end of the year. And what this allows for is for a person that's not a GP user to look at these same KPIs or dashboard elements. So, so here, this is sales by state, and you got that same capability to go in and actually drill down on information as well. So what this will allow you to do is that you can set up again KPIs by groups of users, and then go ahead and drill down on that information. And you could be a Dynamics user and have access to this information. So that's something called Business Analyzer. Now, we also have available this reminders area, and what's good about this reminders area is that it lets you know of certain thresholds that have been met, okay, and that's defined within the system. So I'm able to set up, like here I have payables due, and I can go ahead and drill down on these items into the original document, so I can get information like distribution information. I can also see if there's already been a payment applied to that particular invoice, and in this case there hasn't been. So it gives you reminders of conditions in the system that you may want to go ahead and take a look at. We also have something called tasks. So under tasks, what I can do is, as a manager, I can say that I want something done within GP, and I would then assign it to somebody. So here I've got something, print trial balance, and if I were to open this, this is saying that the print trial balance is linked to the trial balance report. So, and I can assign this to someone. So if I assign this to another user, when they then go into GP, under the tasks area, they'll have that notification that they have a task to do within the system. And then once they perform that task, then it's updated as to when they did it and who performed that task. So it's a way to communicate with others that use the system on what they need to do. And finally, we have something called business alerts. And what business alerts will do is that it'll send emails to anybody really in the organization or outside the organization when certain conditions are in the system. So here, things like checkbook balances or agings or customers on hold, that information can be emailed to whoever you've designated. So if I look at customers on hold, what I like about this particular tool is that it presents the data in a very user-friendly form, but it builds the technical query on the bottom so that I can look at information. Here I've got the customer master, and I can build a formula, so I can say from the customer master, you'll see that the field names are all in normal terminology, and on the bottom it's building the information. So I want to see when customers are on hold, and I want to email, and I can specify what recipients would get that email, what the message is on the email, and how frequently I want this information sent to the user.